Richie Thayer from Thayer's Marine for keeping me and Travis on the water. You know, when you're fishing on the Great Lakes, you're dealing with wind, waves, and opportunities for disaster. But when you buy a boat from Richie Thayer, you're on the water for every tournament, buddy.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Travis, you fish. Oh, Travis doesn't need any help. Travis doesn't need any help. Travis.
Katsu number 5. So we're doing a little burn and stop technique. Big time burn and stop, and they're hitting.
That gets me every time, man. That's got to be one of my favorite intros, the way it ends, man. I want to learn to play. Yeah, it inspires me to want to learn to play the piano.
Welcome to SmallmouthCrush Live with your co-host, Epic Eric. What's new with the Bass Lab, Eric? I just want to get that out of the way.
Sugar Cross. That's it, man. That's all I got for you.
Good enough.
Yes. How about what's new with Smallmouth Crush? You've got a lot more going on than I do.
Gino let me borrow a boat. Very thankful for it. I got a Ranger.
How about that?
Ranger. I've been doing guide trips every day.
That's pretty incredible, man. You got a good group of friends. Lucky man. I mean, unlucky, but lucky. I'm still not over the fact that lower unit, Connecticut, crazy fishing, amazing weekend, guide trip Monday, your boat catches on fire.
Yeah.
I can't wrap my head around it.
It's been interesting.
Talk to me. Any reflections, thoughts running through your brain? I can't stop thinking about it.
I took it down to Richie, so Richie's going to evaluate. It looks like it's pretty much trash, though. So
Totally.
I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
Obviously, you don't want to be running around in a burnt up, smelly boat. So
No.
the insurance company will come through and I placed an order for a new Camus that'll be here June 1st.
That's amazing.
Earl Benz got involved directly with with the situation with the help of Richie, and they're going to have a new boat, and then we got to take it over to Steve at Bass Fishing Electronics, who's the only guy who would allow to have my boat rigged, and we're going to get it set up.
How about that? Man, that's a lot in the next, what is it, week, 3.5 weeks? June 1?
I want to think about
boat
it.
arrives? Yeah, I know you don't. That's a lot going on, man. But at least you got out there. How's the fishing been since I last saw you? 2 more 7s in the boat. It's ridiculous.
What's one more smallmouth, bud? It's getting a little old. All I do is look at smallmouth and unhook them and tell people where to cast and point to rocks and tell them to reel faster, stop it, dead stick it, don't move it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, set.
It's
You got one, set.
Yeah,
set.
It's like you're a bonefish guide, especially when you're in that clear water. You can see them, and it's a visual thing. That's how those bonefish guides would talk. Strip, 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 man. Stop it, move it, twitch it.
I went a little bit this afternoon by myself.
And?
Well, let's see if I can share a screen.
I'd like to see that. Where did you launch? Cape Vincenzo, or did you go in the river? The
First of
river.
all, tell me if you can hear any of this. Give me a if you guys can hear it in the post.
Yep, go ahead.
And I'm just waiting for the bite.
Mm-hmm. We're good.
Bite. Sometimes it's just going to be a little tick. It was sick.
Was it really?
5 pounds. All 5-pounders. I caught like just regular fishing, like casting the bait in the water. Took me 6 minutes to catch 27 pounds.
That's ridiculous. That place is insane.
On the Great Lakes Finesse Juvie Craw.
Juvie? Yeah, isn't that the first time you really spent some time with it?
It today was.
I mean, you've thrown it before, but you really haven't committed to it, right?
Right.
What color did you go with?
Black.
Oh, it's hard to beat.
All right.
Hard to beat.
Probably only 5.
Did you use their tube head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a little crazy though.
Why?
Really? I'm going to share some clips. I've been going over it.
Yeah.
And I realized I was like freestyling it, talking to myself. I'm going to play some clips and you guys let me know if I'm okay with this. I got to be careful because I haven't looked at all the clips here.
Right.
Might catch me like peeing or something.
You look like you're doing a dance right there, the crow.
It could be. Hold on.
What are you drinking there? Oh, did you just juice it up with scent, dude? Like,
oh yeah,
fill the cavity, slather it in there. We're using a tube.
Let me try to play this.
All right, play it
and see if I'm crazy. Hold on. Oh, there's a bite too. Okay, he took it off the snake for me. I was going to show you how to take it off the snake, but he decided to take it off the snake.
That's pretty good when a fish will take a craw off a snag for you.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear what Travis thinks. Does a goby or a crawfish represent more protein value for a smallie?
So now I got to go just a little bit further. Shake it a little. I'm going to scoot ahead, and I'm going to stop. I'm going to freeze.
Scoot it.
Maybe it's my lucky day. Maybe I'll make it to my new home. I'm talking to the bait. I'm like pretending I'm the bait.
Yeah, you're the crawfish. Be the craw, man. Be the craw.
Another big smallmouth, but if I stop, maybe he won't know I'm there.
Stop it.
Not moving.
Pretend.
I'm scared. Stop it. Not moving. Right by me. I think he's right by me.
That's hilarious.
I hit that rock real quick. Can I make it without getting bit? I think I made it.
It's entertaining. Yeah, be the bait, man. Be the bait.
Right, here
he definitely made it out alive.
Is being launched out there. Close the bail, he's on the bottom. Juvie Craw's thinking, I need a new home. I need to find someplace cool to hang out, but there's huge smallmouth hanging around.
Did you talk to Jimmy Craw? Is that what you named him?
Juvie. Stop.
Juvie Craw. Okay. Jimmy Juvie Craw.
He'll just ignore me. Okay, I think he ignored me. I see a rock I'm going to go to. All right, I'm going to that rock. I'm going to that rock. Oh, I'm stopping. I'm not going to move. I know there's a big smallmouth right here by me. Is that odd?
No, I think it's entertaining. I think it's perfect. Be the bait, man. Mix up your cadence. Scurry along, stop, crawl, hide by the rock. He's not safe.
Right there looking at him. Big fish. I'm here now. Really make it. Keep moving. He should sit still, but he's not. He's going to keep moving.
That crawfish needs Ritalin.
He should have just stayed on his rock. Nope. He wants to keep moving. Now he's scared. Dead still. Get out there.
Third time's the charm.
Well, I don't know, bud.
What do you mean? Did you do better when you weren't talking to Jimmy Juvie Craw? JJ Craw?
He knows. He knows,
knows.
if he stays still, they'll find him. They're going to find him. Will he make it? Doesn't look good. It's not looking good for Juvie. No, it's not looking good for Juvie. He's done. He never made it to his new home.
You're losing it out there by yourself.
Terrible feeling.
Jimmy Juvie.
Hit by a big smallmouth, isn't it, Juvie? I'm sorry. Listen, if I can get you back in the boat here, I can get you back in. Maybe we can find you a new home. Okay, this is an interesting colored smallmouth.
He's tattooed.
And this pretty fish right here. Look at the markings on that.
Whoa. The shape of the Great Lakes.
Sorry, better luck next time. Anyway, so that was my day.
That's pretty funny.
I mean, one more clip. I got so weird.
Just an FYI to everybody that's watching, no comments for me because I'm on StreamYard on my phone.
What were you thinking?
He's still talking.
Do it. I just want to go home. Just want to go home. Please let me go home. Let me go home. Go home. How about we scoot up a little bit? Anyways, very intense day on the water.
Looks like
with the Juvie crawl. One was shaking and stopping. There's a point. I mean, I got aggressively bit on that last cast. Was guiding the other day. Oh, this is a funny story. And I did the mistake of taking the algae off of the bait for my client right away in the morning. And so I guess that set the stage for the rest of the day, because every time he get algae, he would turn his rod and the bait would dangle in my face. And I realized, oh, he wants me to grab it and clean his bait off.
That's funny. Were your fingers green at the end of the day? Did you say, hey, bud, you can smack that in the water a little bit?
No, you can't. You have to pull it. You can't smack it.
Some of it you can. You're talking about the green algae, the furry stuff, not the brown stuff. The fibrous algae. That's pretty entertaining, man.
Then I tried to make a, what else did we do this day?
What else did you try to make?
Oh.
How else were you trying to catch them?
Difficult with them. They don't look that big, guys. I think there's some big fish in. Dart at her. Well, that ain't a good start.
What'd you get? What happened?
I couldn't catch them.
Oh. What were you trying to catch them on?
The blade bait.
God, you're still stuck on that dang blade bait. You'll get one. I know I couldn't. Finding new areas?
Yeah.
That's cool. You've been doing some exploring, especially when you're alone, man. I know we explored a lot. Paid off, too. Such a monster body of water, man. You could spend a lifetime up there and never know it.
I did catch a few on a blade bait, but
you always seem to eke out a couple.
Not enough.
Is it really? Yeah. Is it really blade bait time? Or does it matter? You can catch them all summer long on it. I imagine they
catch them all summer long.
Yeah. When is the best blade? Like, what's the best blade bait day you've ever had out there? What time of year was the water?
In the fall.
Yeah. Do they really switch to bait fish? Do they get keyed in on that? for some reason?
I don't think so.
What do you think? Does a crawfish or a goby represent a more protein-packed meal for a smallie?
I don't think fish have any idea what protein is. I don't think they have.
Well, I don't know. Some
I
people
think
would
they
disagree.
eat whatever comes their way, and that's what they do.
I would disagree.
I don't disagree. I don't think there's a school, a college that these smallmouth go to where they're taught about macro and micronutrients.
Well, why do bass become pelagic and chase blueback herring to the exclusion of everything else?
Some like to listen. Why do some people live in the city? Because they love living in the city. Why do some people love? I'll hold. Welcome back. Why do some people prefer to live out in the country? Why do some smallmouth like to live in 2 feet of water right now, and other smallmouth like to live deep? I think you're muted, Eric. Whatever you did just really got messed up. Nothing. You hit the side of your phone. Hit the button on the side of the phone. Technical difficulties. It wouldn't be right if we didn't have any. Why don't you hop off, Eric? Hop back on if you can read lips. Well, maybe he'll join us shortly. I would like to continue this conversation. I really don't. I think smallmouth might have personalities. I think some just like take some of the big islands, especially where I fish on Lake Ontario, 10, 15, 20 miles offshore. That's their home. Like they're not moving to a bay to chase perch or, like in the fall, like we have. They're just kind of living out there. They spawn out there. They live out there year round. Right, Eric?
How's that?
Good.
Working? Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, it's not on my earbuds anymore. That's just strange. But how's my volume good? You can still hear me?
Yes. So we were talking about the personalities of smallmouth.
Yeah.
And I really don't think he disappeared again.
Still? Oh, there
Now
you
you're
go.
back.
I was just putting my earbuds in. Earbuds.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, different personalities. Fish, decide they want to live in this zone, that zone. I think they're very adaptable. I don't know if they even care. Obviously, sure. I think with animals, it's all about instincts, being able to have food and all that. I had a guy trip on. It was an afternoon trip. I forgot what day, but we got into a heck of a bunch of good largemouth, and the largemouth was spitting up big perch. It reminded me of.
That's so cool.
Like really big perch.
Wow.
And so that's what they were doing,
What were you throwing to catch them?
Just a sniper jig.
Sniper.
Mm-hmm.
Be cool to roll a perch colored, swim bait around and see if you can get a bigger bite.
Your audio's a little different now, just so you know.
What? Like
your
better
audio,
or worse?
Worse.
How's that now? I turned the volume up.
I don't know.
All right, let me take my earbuds out.
Can you hear me?
Not as good as before.
What the? I didn't change anything.
Put the earbuds back in the case and then take them out of the case. It'll connect.
I did. I just put them back in the case to try to improve the audio.
All right, let's try that again.
Perfect.
How's that? All right, good. Perfect. Okay.
All right. You ready to get this show rolling?
I'm ready to get the show rolling, man. Great updates, great clips. I found that very entertaining. I think it's going to make a great video. Nice work.
Let's welcome Travis back to the stage.
Hey.
What's going on?
Hey guys, been a while.
Whoa. Audio's bad.
That's classic. I thought he was doing that on purpose. Maybe it's just a fluke. Sounds like Donald Duck.
Well, if we were on top of it, we would. No, you sound like a.
Sounds like a duck. Yeah, cartoon character for sure.
In settings, you could pick mic and audio. Something's going on.
For sure.
This ain't good.
No. I thought he was just goofing around with us at first.
I don't think Travis is the type to goof around, Eric.
I didn't know. I mean, I thought it was he got me. I'm like, that's pretty clever.
We'll give him a second to sort this out.
No problem. No problem.
How's that?
There you
Nice.
go.
Nice.
Good to go?
I think so.
It sounds good. It sounds good.
Now we have an
Although-
echo. How many screens do you have going?
You could say that again.
Don't say it again.
How's that?
I think we're good. Nope. There's a little bit of echo.
Really?
Not on your side. Just when we're talking. You're perfect.
Do you have any sort of earbuds that you can put in? Because maybe that's coming from the speakers in your computer we can hear.
Turn your volume down.
Or maybe turn down the volume.
How's that?
Still there? There's still an echo. Eric, do you hear the echo?
I do.
How about that?
I don't know. It's getting better. It's quieter.
Turn your
Test.
Is there a microphone you can turn down?
Do you have any headphones at all?
Yeah.
Let me pop you off, and then when you get that figured out, we'll see you down below. Okay, that was
It's freaky. I like the Donald Duck, the cartoon character voice. I'm like,
Yes.
wow, how about that? So what are we talking about tonight? The topic is, I
I
know
think we're going to do open topic. See how Travis has been. It's been probably a good year and a half since he's been on.
At least. For sure.
And so
Has he been soaking baits?
for those that don't know, Travis is a river smallmouth. He actually grew up in upstate New York and now has a passion for chasing smallmouth in smaller streams. So we're going to discuss some of that.
Cool.
Oh, Eric, I got to tell you something.
What do you got?
Another afternoon guide trip. He caught like 6 or 7 fish off of beds already.
That's so crazy. That's early.
That was May 2nd.
What was your water temp?
So a week before
Yeah.
was where we were,
Yep.
and it was like 64 degrees or something.
What?
It heated up in there, dude.
Oh, it always does. That's probably the first place that would heat up. Man, they're there. No, I don't doubt it, man. They were ready. They were waiting. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Pretty cool though to have an area like that, right? That you know is going to be a little more stained, going to hold that heat, a little shallower. Got rock, it's got grass, sand. Yeah.
Bad.
Wow. That's
And
crazy, dude.
And then I was just whipping around that Blitz OSP a couple casts and
Oh yeah, I can't even imagine.
spanked a 7.5 pounder.
That's awesome. So much fun. So much fun cranking on those fish there, or anywhere you can get a crankbait bite. I love it. Something
Yeah.
special about that.
Well, let's
That's the
see if we can get Travis back on.
Do it.
How are we doing?
How's that?
Perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah.
What's going on, man? It's been a while.
It has been a while, guys. Happy to be here, and I knew when and if I ever got back on here, I had to address Mr. Eric as the Minister of Culture.
Thank you. I'm not, that's a good one. I know what he means. Minister of Culture. That's my secondary job here at Smallmouth Crush. I do my best. I don't always succeed, but I give it 100%. That's a good one, Travis. It's a thankless job.
Yeah.
I heard that on the Jig Squad. I heard that.
He did, yeah.
That was an old episode too, I believe.
It really was, man. Wow, it's been some time. I don't even remember what year it was. Everything's a blur. It's crazy.
2.5 years ago. I watched that episode probably about 3 months ago.
Oh, you're kidding me. What were we talking about? Was it
Marabou?
Oh, I love Marabou. I love Fur and Feather. It's fun. How do those smaller water smallies respond to Fur and Feather? Do you incorporate a little bit of that into your game, or is it not really needed?
I think anyone that's been doing this for a while, I'll say that because I don't want to say how old I am, but incorporates hair in their game.
Got it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm like right in the heart of where a lot of that hair came from, on the river scene.
Really? Very cool.
I mean, heck, I remember back in 78, 79 or something like that, tying jigs, out of my grandmother's chicken coop and my father's deer.
Yeah.
And some of the first jigs I ever threw were hair jigs. That was before plastic was around.
Isn't that amazing? Very cool.
And I can tell you that hair still is a major player in the river game, and I don't care what time of year it is. There's a big misnomer that it's, this cold water deal, and that's no.
Yeah,
it's always tied on.
That's very cool. I love busting myths like that. Travis is a good myth buster when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody has preconceived ideas, but that's kind of neat. You still tie or no?
I don't have as much time as I would like to do it.
Sure.
But I do. I've got somebody that pours for me.
Okay.
That I referenced a year ago, and
yeah,
also
you did.
2 years ago. My friend Ryan Looney up at North Branch Tackle does all my lead.
Okay.
And I've got somebody that does all my hair. I found somebody that I'm comfortable with that can replicate what I've done with hair.
Okay.
And I can. One of the problems I've got with a lot of the hair jigs, sorry, I know I'm jumping right into it here tonight.
No, I love it.
I have a hard time buying commercial hair jigs. Something will be off with it. Either the head or the hook or maybe how much hair was used, what kind of hair, all this stuff. So I'll go out there. I mean, I'll give up some juice on the hair deal that, like all of us, and, I want to thank everybody for being on here tonight, taking time out of your lives to listen to, a redneck out of the woods that fishes smallies here in West Virginia. Every Ned that I throw is on a hair jig.
How about that? Man after my own heart.
And I honestly don't believe that the industry is caught up to the beauties of the hair jig. There's way more to marabou than swimming at mid-calm. And way more than it being on a mushroom head and, all that.
I'm down with that.
It's year round for me. It's a killer. I don't care if it's 80-degree water temps or I'm fishing in, December and almost ice up here. Hair plays a role. There's something about the undulation and knowing the different kinds of hair, and how they play. Translucency of the hair. It's a deal. I mean, it just is. It's going to outproduce just a basic Ned. I mean, it just does. Especially dead stick.
Makes sense. Nothing like the flow of marabou for sure.
So that's always tied. I mean,
that's cool.
That's just the way it is.
So catch us up. So it's been a little while. How what have you been up to as far as the fishing scene goes? And I guess what are you looking forward to this? Well, I mean, the season's going. I don't think you stop fishing, but walk us through that a little bit.
I guess. Well, I mean, my lifelong goals. I still want to pop a 7 out of a cast wide river. I mean,
wow.
I've got 5 that are right at that 6 mark over the years, and which are phenomenal fish for where I live. That also includes New York, some of the Susky feeders that I grew up near. But I want to pop a 7. I mean, that's my deal. Just once in my lifetime, I want to get a 7 out of a river that nobody would know on a map and probably be classified as a creek. So
wow,
that's the goal.
Do they live there?
Yeah.
You feel like they're there? Okay, they're there.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's an old fish to grow that big in that kind of system with no goby.
Yeah.
How old would a river fish that's 7 in the rivers that you're fishing, a feeder river or small? You called it a cast wide river, meaning you can make a cast across the river, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
These are not big bodies of water.
No, in a lot of places like with a 710 St. Croix, you're casting over into the woods.
How about that?
How
old would that fish be, do you think?
15 plus.
Wow, that's an old fish. To grow that big.
And quite honestly, I mean I've had some that I've caught, multiple times, and I had one that was close to 6 that I caught 2 years in a row. It kept growing, and last year, I didn't get her last year, and I don't know if she died or not.
Wow.
I've got a picture of one on my Facebook page that was pretty close to 6 last year. Right behind our house.
Wow.
I'll see if she's home this year, if I catch her, I'll leave her alone, once a year. But Travis, you mentioned kind of what's going on in the industry and stuff like that. For me, I kind of been laying low. I've had some changes, with some companies I've been working with. I did something a little bit different, I think, and I don't see a lot of talk about this because I don't think a lot of guys do it, but I chose to do it for my own personal reasons. I cut ties with recently with the bait company that I pro staff for, and that I loved, and they treated me really, really well. I did that primarily because I'm certainly blessed to be able to throw anything that exists. I can buy anything I want. I could buy, just before I got on here, I bought 25 bags of pretty expensive plastic, on a whim because they look good,
Sure.
And the reason I say that opens up an opportunity for somebody that needs that more than me. And I like being able to, number one, use things that I think are going to help my game. And I've always been one that if I'm with a company, that's what I'm using 100%, and that's all I own. And I started about a year and a half ago, kind of testing some stuff against other stuff. And I think I got things pretty much dialed now where I need to be. So I gave up a pro staff spot that was pretty lucrative, and I want to thank them. I'm not going to name them.
Okay.
But the reason I did that was primarily to, I want to use the absolute best stuff that I think's out there, for every situation. I don't want to be somebody that pro staffs for a company and I've got 50 bags of something else over here, in a corner. I don't do that, and I never have. I want to be honest with people that contact me and come fish with me. And so I made a clean break, with some stuff that I think is the best for what I do. And I buy it like everybody else. I try to catch it on sale, and a lot of times it ain't on sale. So, so I buy it like everybody else, and it's a good deal. I feel good about it.
Nice.
Melissa Thomas is in the chat right there.
Okay.
That's the jig maker.
Okay.
On the hair side, we're going to be doing a lot of work together.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Where's she located?
Way out west.
Oh, wow.
Knows absolutely nothing about river smallmouth fish.
Is she a fly tire?
I believe, looking at her jigs, I'm guessing there's probably some pedigree there with the fly deal.
Yeah, it's pretty cool when you have a background in fly tying. I don't know. I did it for a long time because I chased trout. And
yep. Same here. Yep.
You look at jigs different when you tie flies.
You look at everything different.
You really do. Yeah, especially river fishing, right? I mean, there's a big parallel, right? I don't know how a cast wide river smallie acts, but I imagine he's in certain places where trout would probably be, right? And feeds in a similar fashion.
Depending on the time of the year and whatever whatever the forage is right there that they're readily hitting. But about a year and a half ago, I think right before I was on last time, I started getting on to the hair jig Ned deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I I try to give something about a year before I even talk about it, if it's even worth talking about it.
Sure.
And I don't throw one, anymore without hair on it. That's the deal.
I feel the same.
You mentioned that a few times. Is it possible to hold one up so we can see what you're throwing?
I didn't come with visual aids tonight, guys. I could have.
We'll have to compare notes in private, Travis. I'll show you my.
I mean, I'll put it out there. Guys, I'll put it out there. An owner 5313 on a 16th ounce football, and probably either raccoon or fox. Not extended much further past that hook.
Okay.
That's
pretty ridiculous. Arctic fox, and it's just, I don't even know what to say.
What's a preferred trailer that you're throwing that with?
Comes in a purple bag.
A purple
bag. Travis, that's all you throw. Think about it. It's all you throw. It's all you throw.
Not all I throw.
Well, it's most of what you throw.
Well,
if you're
guys,
throwing a jig, you're throwing that 99.9% of the time. Maybe you
Not
switch it up.
today.
Well, yeah, you were out there demoing a
No,
probably
I threw
talking
a
to that
jig
little
today,
JJ
too.
crawl. You see the
A little
JJ crawl.
Different
Yeah,
trailer.
You got a new fun JJ crawl.
guys, I'll tell you right now, that stuff is.
It's for real.
It is, and if I chose to pay for that,
it's got to be good.
I
pay retail for that shit.
Yeah,
$8.99 a bag.
Yes, sir. And it's blown me away. I mean, it really has blown me away.
That's amazing. Coming from you, because you're a scent guy.
Yes, sir. You know, Mr. Eric, I know you've been fishing longer than me. I got about 45 years of river fishing in me. And you know, and before that, growing up near Oneida and Cayuga and all that stuff. But
wow,
I haven't seen anything like it.
Me either.
You know, and I got zero ties to saying anything about it.
Yep.
I waited a year. It's awesome. I mean, it is awesome.
My first experience with it, Travis, I was I was on Deep Creek Lake in Western Maryland. So I don't. How far are you from Deep Creek in West Virginia?
45 minutes.
Okay, I got to come see you one day because we got a place up there in Swan, so it just has to happen.
You're right up the road.
So fishing a Wednesday nighter, we were chasing greenheads. We had our limit, and we're still looking for a bigger bite. We're in a potentially a mixed bag area, and I remember I was drop shotting because we saw some on the 360. This wasn't live, no live scope on the boat at the time, but it was the Mega or whatever the better generation of it was, and saw some white dots out there. So the guy I'm fishing with, we don't have much time left, and he goes, "Well, Timmy, they just came out, the flat nose minnow, and or was the worm? What's it called, Travis?
Flatworm.
Flatworm. Thank you. Yeah, flatworm. Berkeley flatworm, and he cast it out there, and literally it was instant after we were throwing plastic that we were applying scent to, by the way. And then I'm like, give me one of them. I got to see. And literally my next 5 casts, nothing that helped us, but it was that instant in that same area. It blew me away. I don't even know what to say about it. It's that crazy sometimes.
I saw in the comments over here, gentlemen, something that, I'm not going to be that vague. I'm going to be straight up, and I'll tell you right now that that Ned deal for me is that 5-inch Max Scent General cut in half.
2 for 1.
That's the deal.
2 for 1.
2 for 1, and it's a little more finessey to me than with the tapered ends, and it.
That's right.
So sure. I hope I answered that over there. I just caught that in the comments. The last 2 times I've been on, I've never looked at the comments. So
that's cool.
I'm just blown away by it, guys. I really am. And of course, I've got zero ties, and I never will to them. But I catch more and bigger fish on it. I know for a fact I do. I fish this side by side with other stuff. I mean,
can't argue with the results.
I can't. I really can't. And I throw a bunch of their stuff. The Ned deals on the hair with the football.
Right.
I think you'll start seeing some people, and I'm sure, Travis, up where you're at, you've got some people that are dragging hair. It's not just the mid-column deal.
No. I'll give you an example. I have a hair jig tied on year round, and I probably especially in the last 2 years. If I'm in an application where I'm going to present something horizontally in that type of water and just trying to cover water, it's going to be a swim bait, or I use that Great Lakes underspin a lot over a hair jig for swimming.
Makes
a hair
sense.
jig will still work, but I use a hair jig more on the bottom during the summer months than ever before. Yeah, for sure. So come July on, well, June, you know, I mean, I'm focused a lot on the spawn in June, and my whole theory, I love experimenting, right? That's fun, but as a guide, I have to put the baits on that work that are just effective, efficient, and quick.
Makes
So
sense.
tomorrow in my boat, I got an underspin, I got a jig, I got a net. That's it. I mean, that's what we're gonna throw. Will we like to crank bait, throw a hair jig? Sure, that would work, but I can get the job done a lot quicker, and it's easier, right? It's easier for people to fish some of those types of baits. So that's what I go with. But my personal stash, when I'm fishing a tournament, say in July, and yeah, I'm going to have a hair jig tied on all the time for sure.
Travis, this is for you, Travis Manson. I've noticed that you're not throwing the drop shot as much. Why?
I don't have an answer. I get that asked a lot.
Like dramatically less. Like, well, I don't know if I watched you throw a drop shot when I was up there with you at all.
I haven't seen I watch everything you do. I mean, self-professed. I haven't seen you do pick up a drop shot in quite a while.
Well, I mean,
do you feel like it's unnecessary? Like, just for everyday fishing, it's a hassle, line twist, the weights, and you got to tie. It's just two things to tie.
No, I don't want to say that, because I think there's definitely a time and a place.
All right, let's talk about
my way of fishing has changed over the years.
Yeah, true.
Just because of guiding, right? Weather conditions. I'm in the river a lot more, so I'm dragging a lot more. Okay.
Sure.
When I'm on the big lake, I'll be honest. Last year, in the open water, deep, all summer long, more bites were coming on that jig, fish just like you would in places you would fish a drop shot, than the actual drop shot. But that's not to say there's not times when I'll pick that drop shot up and get big bites too.
Yeah,
and I'm learning particular groups of fish and how they relate to the structure. I mean, I got tons of places in my head where I'll pull up and know that's a drop shot spot.
Okay.
Where before, in some of these, it was more just drop shot, drop shot, drop shot. Now I kind of know when I'm in this situation, there's definitely a time and place for a drop shot. But now my drop shot baits have changed over the last probably year to 2 years. I guess right now, if you were to ask me what my two favorite drop shot baits of all time would be, it would be the Great Lakes drop minnow, and it would be the Berkeley gulp smelt. That would be my two
3-inch.
Yep, 3-inch. My two go-to drop shot baits. So I don't have anything else tied on anymore. Like, that's just, and it gets the job done. And we can narrow it down to colors for you guys. I like the smelt, and I like the spicy melon color. That's what I throw. That's what my clients throw. That's what I use. And it could be a confidence thing. I don't have a problem catching fish with it, so that's just how I roll.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this earlier today, Great Lakes Fest came out with new Helgramite, and I wanted to give that a try in cold water, which I didn't think would work, but it certainly did. So I did catch some fish. I did pick up the drop shot rod today. Those blade bait fish, that video I was trying to make, catch them on blade bait, all they wanted was the drop shot today. So it does vary on the school and the area. So I'm not saying put that stuff away for good, but And that just comes, I guess, with experience. And man, there's so much that it's more about bait presentation over the bait, to be honest with you. I've seen
Sometimes.
that.
Well, if it was just the bait presentation, you'd have caught them on a blade bait today. No, they had a preference for
What I mean is
a particular.
I just want to a side note, because
Sure.
I've seen this. I've been guiding a lot this year already. Okay. Guys are, and everyone needs to hear this, because you got to, it's got to click. That's why I made that stupid little video of me talking about being the bait. Okay. It's that important that when you make your cast, now I know Travis is a little different where you fish, but when we're even in 10 feet of water, a 1/6 or 1/8 or whatever you call it size head is going to take quite a while to get down in 10 feet or even 30 feet. It's amazing. Amazes me on live scope how long it takes. I see guys working baits as sensitive as my rods are, and I use St. Croix too. They think they're on the bottom, bro. And I see these baits in the middle of the water column every day. Make your cast to your target. Keep that bail open. And spill some line out if you have to. Dude, everyone makes a cast and close that bail instantly.
Ah.
And it blows my mind.
It's just going like this. It's coming that way. Yeah, never drop it.
In the chat, if you want to catch more fish, keep that bail open. And then once that bait hits the bottom, man, you got to visualize and think that fish is on it and what's going to trigger that bite. Because I not only do I have the privilege of being able to see him with live scope, but I also can see him with my eyes. Like today, I pulled up on a fish. I didn't even know it was there. I just saw his little gray little thing in the clear water, and I knew he was there. Yeah. When this video of the Juvie Craw drops this week, there's a clip where I like say I'm done with the video, but then I decided to like keep going. I did some bonus clips, and in that bonus clip, I saw a fish, and I literally made 3 casts to it, and it takes a while. I let it all play out so you guys can see how it goes down. That third pitch, it really, you needed to like work that bait just right to get his attention and then get him the strike. Eric, you saw it with George and I when we were fishing that clear water. Like there was that bait needs to move at a certain
100%. Especially when that fish is running and you can see what's going on. Yeah, you
don't have the opportunity sometimes. We were in crystal clear water, high sun, and dead calm. So we kind of could put the puzzle together on how to move that bait and win. There's times you guys are fishing dirtier water conditions where you don't have that opportunity.
Sure.
Now you have to like really, it's on you now to make that bait. Whether that be dead sticking, moving it just a little bit, shaking on slack. Remember how we shook on slack the other day, Eric?
Oh, dude. And then that Saturday, we had a dead stick in that 6 to 8 session, and they were picking it up after you dead stick it. It's crazy. After that slack shaking and then dead stick.
There's so much that goes into it. Now, that brings up a point. The higher sensitive rod, the better quality rod that you can have, the better. The lighter, thinner diameter braid that you can use, the better. I'm a braid guy. I don't know how you are, Travis, on your spinning rods, but I'm still – no one will ever convince me to throw straight fluorocarbon.
5 pound.
Yep. That's what it's all about.
I agree. I think it boils down to depth, speed, and cadence. And the cadence part, everybody talks about depth and speed, right? Where are the fish? On the bottom, high, mid, whatever, where they're in the water column. Speed of retrieve or presentation. But the cadence is something else. And that's when you learn, when you can see that cadence part. Cadence in a jerk bait. How many jerks before a pause? How long is the pause? Is it 3 fast snaps and a long pause and then 2 little light taps?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's cool. You learn a lot. There was a time I was on the Upper Bay. This is the same thing, but on the surface, I was throwing a Rico, and I literally had to go, pop, 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 like hit it hard. There were 10 boats in the ditch, Travis. So it was an ABA out there. And if I didn't hit that Rio Rico, it's a bigger bait, hard, and then a dead stick stop. And as soon as I would give it a soft twitch, they'd be right behind the bait. So that really aggressive pop got them there. But it did not trigger the bite. And then it was a soft twitch. And then they would crack it. And I literally, it was awesome. But that cadence.
The regular days of dragging, let's just say dragging a football head or dragging a tube where you cast it and you drag and you stop, you drag and you stop. That ain't working, man. You gotta get that fish's attention and know when to dead stick and then know when to move it.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. I feel so
Fun
bad
figuring it out.
Try my best to get people around the fish and then coach them and guide them.
Do you talk about being the bait, being the crawl, being the JJ crawl? You should talk about. Listen, guys, I want to tell you a story about the JJ crawl. It's the Jimmy Juvie crawl that used to be in my life, and he got eaten by smallmouth. Let me tell you how it happened. So JJ crawl got cast out there, and just make a cast, and then do it one time and talk them through it. They will howl, laugh, and I hope you hook one when you tell the story each time. That will convince. Dude, you should do it. Little JJ crawl. We got by that.
You gotta
rock
be that
trying
bait,
to
man.
hide.
You just find a home. Now you're out in the open. You're scared. Do you stop?
Yeah.
Do you stay? Do you move? What do you do?
Yeah, I'm blending. You can't see me.
And that's just time on the water. I mean, we're seeing the fish bite. We're learning what they're doing.
Sure.
It's crazy, man.
It's cool.
Crazy.
It's fun.
And that Ned rig, dude. How about that deep Ned rig I was trying to teach you, Eric? There's a lot that goes into it.
I didn't put a net on, but I mean, I was watching you. It was really cool because you were feathering that thing through that cover. That's what they wanted. Pretty wild. 40-foot deep with current. Lot going on to that. That's what I'm saying. I'll let
8 minutes to get to the bottom. Yeah,
absolutely, forever. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's a completely different experience fishing in current, deep.
And I'm sure in the river,
current.
Travis, with you, it's all about it's presenting that bait properly with the flow, with the current, right? With in the areas you want to fish it, and then be able to detect the bites. That's another thing. It's all about detecting that bite, man. I yell at people not yell, but I mean, I'm yelling, set the hook, because they don't know they have a bite. Like, how foreign is that? People don't know when they have bites, Eric. That's
I know.
Important.
It's true. Travis, how heavy is your current in the rivers that you're talking about? Your cast wide streams and rivers. Do you have a lot of flow, or I mean, I guess it depends on where you are, but what's going on, man? Describe.
Yeah, it depends on time of year. I mean,
sure. Okay.
Like right now it's rolling pretty good. We had all weekend it rained here where I'm at, and Eric, you can pretty much picture 45 minutes south of where you're talking.
Sure.
Up there.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So
I think I know.
I got some elevation,
You do.
We're in the mountains here, so there's a lot of that topography where that's dropping down, stair stepping, every 100 yards. I mean, that's gaining some flow.
It is.
And there's one bigger bridge that you go over going south out of your camp.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's, that might be 5 casts wide, but that's a pretty good sized body of water. I mean, it'll vary.
Okay.
I just think that there's less calorie expenditure in those smaller bodies of water. If it supports the food, that's where I get bigger fish. I actually get bigger fish out of the smaller bodies of water if it's got the food source.
That's amazing.
And the lack of pressure, because you got to be, half billy goat to go and half insane to go fish these areas.
Are you wading these areas? I mean, you're hiking in and wading, right?
Kayak.
Oh, wow. That's even wilder. Holy moly.
Travis, do your rivers have, I'm always curious about this. Do you have like waterfalls and maybe natural dams as well? And
yes, sir.
Okay.
Both.
Are those fish ever able to get up to that next section, or are those separate fish? And how does that work in your opinion?
I think 2018, we experienced one of the absolute worst flood years that we ever had here. Our road going in and out of the woods here was lost twice.
Wow.
It was, the spawn was totally lost. All summer long was flood. And quite honestly, I think we lost a lot of year classes in 2018. I'm starting to see it come back now. But as far as, those fish being nomadic, given those natural barriers, they're not. They're really not. Given, that topography takes care of those fish roaming. And that's why, it's not unheard of for me if I find one that is a grown one. In the kayak game, of course, we go by inches. So if I find some 21, 22 incher, I know probably good chance next year he's a little bit better, she's a little bigger.
Sure.
And I'll revisit that fish. 2018, we lost some studs.
That's painful.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know we did, without even seeing them. But last year was the toughest year that I've had. And I still stuck big fish and everything. But most years I want to go get 20 fish or 20 inches or better out of the waters that I'm on. And that's fishing 10, 12 months out of the year, depending on the winter.
Sure.
And you can tell pretty quick if you had a bad year, either spawn-wise, because you'll see that jump in size, where maybe some of the fish are 10 or predominantly 15, there's that gap in there and stuff.
Wow.
And that's all stuff I pay attention to,
Sure.
Now, somebody did ask earlier, and it was a really good question. He was asking about the color of that accent on that hair jig. The one thing that I will say is if I got a dark colored, like say it's raccoon hair jig, or like black bear, the trailer is going to contrast. And vice versa. I don't do that match the jig and trailer deal.
Sure.
Because there's nothing that lives in my waters that is all one color.
Sure.
The crawdads are mottled looking colors and little sculpin and all this stuff, and nothing's all one color. So I always mix that up.
So what's their forage? You talked about crawfish, sculpin,
Hellgrammites.
What else, man? Hellgrammites, sure. Okay.
Now, right about first, second week of October, they get on the minnow thing really heavy.
Really?
The bait
Very
fish.
interesting.
That's when the bait fish deal really kicks in.
In the fall.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, they do switch, don't they?
Oh yeah, right about that time change. That photo period change. And right after that first frost, right in there. That's. I'm not sitting next to the fire.
You're fishing your ass off. Do you ever get topwater action? I'm sure you do, but do you like it? Is there a little buzzbait, little popper, little tiny torpedo? What's your top 3 stream river topwater applications? Like if you had, are the old G's still working, man? Back in the day, never stop biting them.
If you throw them, they'll work.
Yeah, of course.
And I've got 2 topwater rods. One is for flinging some really small stuff.
Sure.
And I'm talking like 65 size Sammy.
Oh shit, little tiny. Wow.
75 plus water temp.
Okay.
Gin clear water, and when they're is spooked by their own shadow as they can be. And every year I get a couple, for my area, some pretty big horses on those little topwaters.
That's cool.
Now, of course, I got to wade through umpteen number of rock bass and 12 inchers, but the big ones will, they'll eat them peanuts in the summertime off the top.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody and their brother throws a plopper.
Okay.
If I've got rising water, I've got a St. Croix 610 glass that will bomb a small plopper, and it just, they don't get off of that rod.
That's the best.
And I've already been chucking that thing here just to get a feel for it. That thing.
You're loving it.
Oh my, that's the best plopper rod. I mean, because you got to figure a plopper is just basically a topwater crankbait.
Sure is.
You know, you've got that constant tension in the tip, and as soon as they load that thing, it's over.
They're hooked. Yep.
You know, so
and it's violent.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Smallmouth topwater bites are violent.
I love, you know, if somebody didn't love the smallmouth river topwater thing in the summer, I mean, seriously, they got to take up bowling or something. I mean, it's awesome. I mean,
could an 1/8 ounce buzzbait do some work? A little tiny 1/8 ounce buzzbait?
It could, you know, in the right conditions. You know, again, that's one of them deals where, you know, you can only get them on what you throw. And,
very true, very true.
You know, and quite honestly, and this kind of carries over to everything else I do with jerk baits and topwater and all that stuff. You know, you bring up a great point. I would much rather stick a big fish on anything but trebles.
Yeah, right.
You know, squirrely. Especially 65, 70 degree water temp and up when they're going ballistic.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd rather get them on a jig hook or, you know, a single, like, nose hook, something or other, like drop shot hook.
A whole lot safer.
Sure. And but there's a time and place. I mean, you know, if I got a front that just went through and I've got rising water in the summer, that opens up that food conveyor belt from, you know, it's been
interesting.
As soon as that water comes up, you ain't getting a plopper out of my hands all day. I'm bombing that thing.
Heck yeah. That's cool. What size plopper? The little one? 60? What is it? I can't
75.
remember.
I like the 75. And I throw, I get real fancy with it. I throw one color. You know, I throw the loon color, and that's all I own. That's the black one. And I think in really, you know, gin clear water, I think black presents itself.
Sure.
Looking at it, I think it looks smaller. You know, it's that absence of light, you know, with the paint job, and I just think it's more finessier.
Yeah,
you
makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, my color of choice would be black on a topwater all the time, 80% of the time.
That's
the Rio Rico was.
Same reason I used to. That's the exact same reason I used to take markers to spy bait blades. And I would darken them.
Make it more subtle.
Yes, sir.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Very cool.
What type of line are you throwing on those smaller top waters, as well as your like rod and reel combo? I'll put up a comment here from JP Harrell.
7-foot medium light Croy with a 4,000 accents. 8-pound Cortland.
I love that 4,000 accents, man. I'm in love with that reel.
I didn't know you're a Cortland guy and a St. Croix guy. I guess, were you always St. Croix? I know that, but
I know St. Croix.
Yeah.
I run that for the the little top waters. That 7-foot medium light will bomb cast 3/16 or a 1/4 ounce bait. It'll bomb cast those on 8-pound braid.
You talk about Ned rigs and finesse baits. I'm just curious, what length in those rivers and what style of rod are you throwing from St. Croix most of the time? Or do you kind of
Great
vary?
question.
For all my finesse stuff, I use 2,500 Stellas.
Stella, you ain't messing around, dude. Accents and Stellas, man. I love it.
And I use one bait caster, and that's the Antares.
You are.
What about rod for the Ned rigs? What size rod are you normally using?
I'm I own 2 finesse rods. One's a 610 medium light Legend X, and the other one's a 6.8 medium extra fast.
Okay.
Those 2 rods right there, and I've got multiples of both.
Yeah, in the Legend X series.
Yep.
Yeah, those are fantastic rods.
And I'll tell you, they will take a beating from us kayak guys.
I mean, from a guiding standpoint, as much as I love my extremes,
that's right.
Okay, extremes can get beat up. We'll put it that way.
Right.
Okay. Granted, they have a great warranty.
Right.
But for like when I say I'm throwing those football jigs deep, whether it be a 1/4 ounce or 3/8 or even the 1/2 ounce, especially on a spinning reel, I'm using that St. Croix Legend X in the 7-foot medium for those applications, and I wish I could say I could tell a difference. I mean, it's right up there, and for the price point, I mean, it's still a high end rod, but man, that Legend X rod, and it's a tank, right? You're not breaking that thing.
No, you're not. And I mean, the resin system on that, you know, the paint and resin system on those blanks, you know, that green hue.
Yep.
You're not scarring that thing. Guys, I am brutal on my tackle. Going up and down rivers, and I mean...
Oh, yeah, kayaking.
You know, pulling kayaks up over beaver dens and all this stuff. I mean, my stuff just... it just gets beat. And, you know, I just... 15-year warranty, being in the kayak thing makes sense to me.
Have you ever messed around? So last year, I used to use the old Legend Extremes when they made a 7-foot medium light. When they went to the newer style, they only made a 610, and I felt like I still wanted a 7-foot for my Ned rigs.
There's one in the walleye.
Yeah, well, the wall. Actually, I've been dealing a lot with the walleye side too. But the Legend Elite rods with the full cork handle.
Yep.
If you haven't messed with those, they're very impressive. Yeah.
I've got a 7-foot medium light in that series, and I've got it in the new Legend Tournament walleye, the rigging.
Yeah.
They call it the rigging one, you know, for light Lindy rigs, I would assume. But of course, I'm using it for I'm using it for 3/16 and
blue. So the blue Legend Bass, the blue Legend Bass and walleye rods. There's a few walleye rods that I actually use for bass fishing, and specifically some of the blade baits we were talking about.
Use that snap jig rod.
The snap jig rod is the best blade bait rod, hands down, I've ever used in my life for a spinning rod.
How long is it?
Not, was it
6'8", isn't it?
Yeah, I'd have to look it up.
That'd be good for pitching around docks, Travis, like in the winter on the bay. I mean, not that you're coming down anytime to fish blade baits, but you know, if you're looking for a blade bait rod and you're a spinning rod guy with blade baits, that'd be a good one.
But then I also use the it's a tournament walleye rod that's used for slip for when guys fish walleyes with floats a lot.
The
you know what you're talking? 7 is it 7.6? I think it is.
It used to be an 8-foot telescopic rod.
Okay.
Get out.
They called it the slipping rod.
Yep.
How about that?
And it was in the walleye. I threw number 2 and number 3 MEPs with that thing for about 5 years.
Oh, that's awesome.
Bomb casting them. I mean,
yeah, I love it. Isn't it great when you get a rod for a technique or a lure set and it just casts beautifully? Like, I'm in love with my 7.6. It's a Conquest from you know, G. Loomis, and man, it just bombs it's a medium light, and I could just shock it with 5-pound braid, you know, a little Okashira screw head or whatever I'm throwing. It's just ridiculous. I threw the beetle spin. Oh, Travis, you'll like this. I want Travis here. I threw the beetle spin for some Ontario smallmouth, man. It won the morning session. It was so fun, man. I hadn't done anything like that in so long. Travis, did you make a video?
Not yet.
Okay. No, I just wondered if you did.
I've been behind, bud. I got a lot of.
I don't, Travis. I just wondered.
No,
yeah. But it was an old Hildebrandt that I had in the house, man, and I modernized it. I threw a VMC Nico, and it had a O'Shaughnessy bend in the hook. Man, I love the O'Shaughnessy bend. If I could find, anyway, we'll talk later.
Now, Travis, on the rod length thing, there's a reason I do the 6/8 deal. Now, if you look at a handle chart with the St. Croix, those are noticeably shorter handles in the 6/8 model. Me being a kayak guy.
Oh, you're sitting down.
And that handle is perfect.
So if it was longer, it'd be in your way?
It'd be right here.
I didn't think about that.
So that St. Croix handle ends right here on my elbow. You can see my elbow right here.
Yeah.
It's literally like right here. It's so much more comfortable because I do so much dead stick and plastic in jigs. And I'm not, I want to be able to pin that rod where I'm working my baits. I work them a lot of times off the reel, not my rod.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Talk to me about that. Give me an example.
Let's listen in.
That's messed up.
Yeah, I like it.
The other reason I went to the shorter rods, other than the comfortable, nature of them while I'm seated, is the fact that I'm not moving my baits as much. I'm not moving them as far. Now, if I go from like 9 to 11 or 9 to 12 or something crazy like that, I mean, my baits, I used to fish 7.5 foot rods. That's all I fished in a river. As a friend of mine would attest. That's all I owned was like 7.5 foot sticks and up to 8 foot. And if I'm trying to crawl something, if I go to from 9 to 11 for whatever reason, and raising that rod tip up, I mean, it just absolutely, it looks like nothing I would eat.
Wow.
I mean, it absolutely looks like a crawdad that's been hitting a meth pipe or something. I mean,
you're right. Listen,
it's interesting. That's hold that point. Keep talking. But 9 to 11, you're saying it's too fast or too far for a crawl. Travis, go.
No, I
9
agree
to 11 is too far.
I agree with that.
I made that goddamn rod move a lot.
I had a theory 2 years ago about a 7.6 St. Croix Legend Extreme medium that I was going to throw tubes with. And I'll be honest with you, I'm more comfortable throwing on the 7 foot medium. And I went back to it this year. Yes. Because I feel the same way. Now, if I'm throwing a spy bait or a hair jig and stuff like that, sure.
7.6 all day long.
My plastics, I cannot go over 7 foot anymore.
I'm a 7.1 guy, but I hear you.
Yeah.
That's cool. I never even thought about that. You're right. That 9 to 11 move, Travis.
I'm telling you, that's
very interesting.
We just talked about this a half hour ago.
Yeah, you did. The way you talk about it.
And the way you work that bait is way more important than, I mean, obviously you got to find the fish and be around the fish. Once you have that dialed in, you got to work that bait right, man. And the rod's going to do everything. And the line, Travis, you mentioned you use Cortland, 5-pound braid a lot. What's your color of choice for your main braid?
Yeah, good question.
Anything that I can see. So I've got them color coded. I use the 5 is chartreuse, the 8 is the white, and the 10, which I do use for a couple things, and we haven't touched on that tonight yet. I've only touched on the Ned. The 10 I use blue. So like if I look at them and I see what color it is, I know what pound test it is.
All right. What goes on the blue rod? I got to know. If you want to share.
Well, they have
Maxent tube.
Oh,
they have an orange. They have an orange braid that Brooks just sent me.
Yeah, I don't have the pole that you do, Mr. Manson. I haven't seen the orange.
Yeah, Travis.
I listen. I do want to make a public announcement here about some stuff.
PSA.
Yes, when
when St. Croix heard about my boat, they were on the phone the next day with the rods that were destroyed, and Brooks sent me my 5-pound braid like 2 days later. So they really took care of it.
That's awesome.
Pretty cool to see that. Yeah.
Yeah. What about those 5 rods I had in there, Travis? Did you take care of them? The tube. Do you have an open bag in there? I want to see it, how it looks. If you have an open bag, you feel like taking one. Don't open a bag for me.
I threw the tube yesterday, free rigging it. I stepped up my hook size.
Whoa, you free rigged it?
Yeah.
You free rigged a tube.
Yeah, bro. Come on.
Oh, very interesting. Travis trying something new. What?
The Berkeley Maxent tube.
Free rigging it.
I got them in 2 sizes, 1 color, green pumpkin.
The Ned's always rigged. That 2.5-inch tube is always rigged. Those two are always rigged. I don't care what time of year it is. Those are rigged.
Always.
That's on a custom football.
I love a football head. I'm all about the football head. Skip the button mushroom head for any more. Football and rock specifically.
5313 owner and a 16th ounce.
Wow, that's light. Light as you can get away with. How deep are you fishing most of the time?
I could be in 3 feet, and then down around the bend, I'm in 15.
And you're still throwing 16th ounce.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Light
Keep that bill open. Keep that bill open.
For an hour. You think an 8 takes a while. Can you imagine throwing that 16th and 40? We should guess the depth. We should play a game. Guess the depth.
Tell you what, man, with that slow fall, I swear, those smallmouth, they're very visual feeders. They see that bait coming. They shoot up. They're ready for it. They're moving on the bottom. They see that shit.
They're tracking it.
They do, man.
That's good.
I saw that today.
You had them dialed in that 40-foot spot. They're like your babies down there, man. You know those fish intimately. You stop there all the time because it's challenging. It's not like you wrecked them. I mean, you only caught 4 or 5, but I mean, it was fun.
I shouldn't say this. Like today was a freestyle day in the afternoon. I went out and just tried to explore, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I'll admit I got little spots, and I kind of know every fish relates a little different to those spots. And that deep spot I took you to, Eric, they're challenging fish to catch. They always every time we stop there, they're challenging to catch.
I want to throw a Ned next time I'm there with you. Put the right bait on. Because you say it's a Ned spot. And a blade bait spot. I missed every blade bait fish that bit.
Yeah.
Now
every one of them.
Here's the deal on that tube is if somebody throws that in a river, I'll give them about 10 minutes before they got a rock bass or some kind of green sunfish on it. Okay? So what I do, because they're invariably going to eat all the legs off of those tubes. They're going to nip every one of them off there.
Get out. So,
I mean, channel cats, fall fish, rock bass. I mean, you name it, they eat that stuff.
Everything.
I mean, they just do it. And what I will do, and I'm starting to sound like my friend Ned Katie on the frugal side here, but since I'm paying $9 a bag for this stuff, I will have a couple inches of marabou on a football head.
Interesting.
So essentially, you got a tube jig, and some pesky little SOB is eating all the legs off it. Okay, so you got the tube jig without any legs on it. All right,
I get it.
You got about that much marabou on a football head. Nothing fancy whatsoever. Okay, that tube's cap goes over the top of that head, and now you got a new tail that's marabou, and that thing ain't getting pecked off of there.
That's brilliant. Brilliant. Ned would be proud.
So essentially, you take all these off of here, okay?
Yeah.
You're left with that right there. Slide that over your football, tie it on. you got marabou out here flowing.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more durable than those little legs right there, I can tell you.
Sure enough. Very
And that
cool.
tube does get-
That'll last.
even the roughness of a smallmouth's mouth will just kind of, it'll tear that tube, especially not all tubes, but the Maxent in particular, because it is somewhat sensitive.
What I do on that is I'll put one over the other. Like if I've got a couple of these, which I always do, I'll put one of those caps over this one here. So essentially it's almost like a double dip tube.
Oh, cool.
And you got marabou flowing out of that right there on the football with a one, that 1/0 owner.
16th of an ounce?
16th of an ounce.
That's so wild. That's cool. That's light. Light as you can get away with. Is the 5313, does it have the curved beak on it or is it straight?
Yeah. Yeah,
Curved?
it's the one that's almost like a circle hook.
Yeah, it's curved.
Yep.
Interesting. And you're happy with it. That's a good hook, man.
Oh, you got it. You just draw. You got any kind of tension on that thing, and it's just load the rod tip, and it's there.
I love it. Yeah, that's so cool.
That's that extra fast St. Croix that sets that hook. That tip is so springy on that thing, it sets that hook.
Yeah.
It's nasty.
I hear you.
So there's the Ned in the tube. Always rigged. I get real fancy on colors. I throw a green pumpkin.
Right. Same here. Green pumpkin or black.
Yep.
Green pumpkin purple, right? You'll do a little purple in there.
Yeah, like about mid-October on, like after all the leaves are off the trees and we're getting that real dreary time of year, I'll go to black. If here's my deal on the color thing with Neds, with tubes, anything that I'm dead sticking. If I can't see it on the bottom, it's right. There's not anything at my smallmouth eat on the bottom that sticks out to me. I don't even see them until they move when I'm walking over them.
Isn't that crazy? They're that camo.
Just perfectly camouflaged.
That's crazy.
And that's how I pick my colors. Like, Berkeley and the Maxent, they've got one that's like a green color. It's a mist, like a green mist or something like that. There's times of year where that might be, I won't be able to see that on the bottom. It'd be a great color.
That's wild.
I can't see what they're eating. Honestly.
That's wild.
I just can't see it. And that whole river floor moves. And unless I take a step, I wouldn't even know anything was there.
That's amazing. What pound test are you using for your leaders? And what brand line?
Seagar.
Tatsu or just regular?
Seagar Fluoro, gold label.
Gold label.
I use gold label leaders, Cortland braid.
Yep.
So that's simple stuff right there.
What pound test on your leaders for your Ned and your jig and your
6 Ned, 8 tube.
Okay. Jig 8, or will you step it up?
Like the Ned on the hair jig, I'm throwing 6.
Okay.
The tube I throw 8. Now I've also got a jig rod that I throw a silicone jig on. That's straight fluoro. That's Tatsu. That's straight Tatsu.
8.
10 pound. 10 pound straight.
And you step it up to 10 for your silicone jig.
And that's a little heavier jig.
Do you use a Maxent trailer? By chance? On the jig, the silicone jig? I think this new company you've explored?
No, that's them. Yeah.
Okay. I think it's revealed. Yep. I would imagine as good as Maxent is, you'd have to have a Maxent trailer. Maybe not.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Enough said. How about that?
I've
You're all
got
in.
two. I've got two of them that I use. One of them gets nose hooked into the trailer, so it's got a little more, that in the
Flow,
warmer
sure.
weather.
Okay, makes sense.
The other one gets threaded.
Threaded.
3-inch chigger craw gets
Love
threaded,
it.
and yeah, that meat chunk or whatever, that 3-inch meat chunk or whatever, I nose hook that, and it does that.
Let it
I mean,
flow,
it's just
sure. Hard to beat.
That's another always rig thing. I throw that in timber, like deep wood holes.
Interesting. Okay.
Ryan Aluni's my lead guy, so he knows all this stuff.
That's
he,
cool.
He knows what I throw. He knows
awesome.
he knows the hooks I like. He knows what I like.
Let's spec it out for you.
Second time this question came up, what is your kayak brand of choice?
Jackson. I'm on the Jackson fishing team.
Very cool.
I've been in Jackson kayaks since they came out back in the early 2000s.
You earned that spot. How many miles of river have you walked?
Yeah, I run two kayaks. One is the Take Two, and which a lot of people would look at that as probably more of a lake kayak. But like October on, I like to Take Two. In inclement weather, and when I'm doing some sketchy stuff, in real cold weather, I take that Take Twos. That thing's awesome.
That's cool.
And then I've got one for like really low summer water, and that's the Jackson Coosa X. So I run two different kayaks, very specifically for the conditions. They're set up the exact same way. They've got all the same rod holders and, the same deal. So, and both of them afloat in 3 or 4 inches of water.
Wow. That's skinny as
like
F.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But they've been really good to me. They really have. I mean, I ran Jacksons before anyone long before anyone even knew who I was at Jackson. I just, they're made right in Tennessee, U.S. made, and great product. They started out as river kayaks. I mean, I think they pretty much, they made their name with the river kayak scene right out of the gate, and thank goodness they did, because that got me out of running some other stuff.
Sure.
So, a lot of miles.
I can't even imagine. That's amazing. 3 inches of water floating it.
Well, it's interesting having this discussion about river smallies, and a lot of people may not realize just how many smallmouth and largemouth are in smaller rivers that are probably close to their house all over the country. I mean, growing up in Wisconsin, we had the same thing.
Yeah.
Very little pressure. I remember just kind of wading in streams and being able to catch good size fish, especially in like tributaries that were associated with big waters that held fish that dumped into it. Those were the places. And I remember, this is a while ago, right? So we just had a freaking canoe, right? But you would just dump in somewhere and have a takeoff spot and throw your bikes in the takeoff, or, where you're going to drop off, and you ride your bike back to the truck and go grab your stuff. I mean, that's how we did. And I think there's a lot of opportunities. Maybe not. I'm sure you got some sneaky stuff, but like, I think any state in the country probably has access to small river smallmouth somewhere.
Yeah. I've done pretty much everything that I do here close to the house. I've done in 7 to 8 different states.
Very cool. Have you floated the Potomac near Cumberland?
Maybe.
Fair point. Maybe I have. Maybe I haven't.
Yes, sir, I have. It's right up 51 out of Paw Paw.
I figured you had. That's cool. Very neat. Very neat. Amazing.
There's
Some big heads in there too, apparently.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you get any largemouth in your streams or no?
Yeah, and the ones that we get are big. I mean, for the bodies of water, I mean, I really have taken some just surprisingly largemouth for the size of the rivers I fish. And it's typically where they're not very far from where the smallmouth winter.
That's really cool. That's very
So if
cool.
someone was looking to fish a river or a small stream and explore it, because there's not a lot of information out there. Like, how would you determine if you think there's smallmouth in that river? Like what do you look for? What do you need?
Current.
Okay. Current.
That's a good. I would look at the water temp over the course of a year. I would find like a USGS gauge, and I mean it can be real iffy if you're talking, you know, some kind of headwaters where you're talking trout versus smallmouth. Now
Sure.
you move down out of those headwaters and get more in that middle portion. If you're looking at it on a map, what I call a median portion of a river, that middle. You know, on a lot of rivers, your trout headwaters, they won't have any trout in the middle or lower portions of river, but it opens up beautifully for smallmouth. Now, I'm not saying that there's giants in those rivers because the headwaters have trout or anything.
But you are.
It might be something you want to look into.
You know, trout feeders. Yeah. Do those big smallmouth eat a lot of those fall fish? Because they look just like a golden shiner.
Absolutely.
Is there any opportunity to throw a bigger bait at those fish and get a bigger bite? I'm talking swim bait that, you know, might be 4 or 5 inches, like a, you know, not the giant small fall fish that you catch sometimes. But I mean, that is just an easy meal.
The first time that I was on with Travis, he remember he used to have that question about if you could throw one bait.
Yeah.
Right at the very end of that episode.
Yep.
I said, at that time, I believe I talked about the Nico Craw on a sled.
Yeah, you did.
Fantastic bait.
Sure.
It's like throwing live bait. I mean, it really is. Smallmouth are going to eat that thing.
That's crazy.
But right after that, I said, I'm going to give you that answer because I'm not going to mention a depths glide bait.
What? How about that? No way, dude.
And that was,
oh my gosh, that's crazy.
3 years ago now?
Yeah.
So I got in pretty early. I got mesmerized by the Gancraft deal probably 10, 12 years ago.
Me too.
And
I watched that Southern Trout Eaters DVD and my jaw was on the ground when Austin Neary was still in college on a baseball scholarship and got hurt. And I watched it and I'm like, what did I just see? Like, what did I just see? Crazy.
Well, I can tell you probably the fastest growing segment of the river smallmouth community is guys throwing glide baits.
Are you kidding me? That 178 or they're like in the Gancraft size or smaller or bigger? The big full size one?
No, definitely, you know, like that, they'll be in that 6.5.
Yeah.
You know, 7-ish.
Okay.
Like, you know, Chad stuff. I know guys that throw that. That's a, you know, what's that weigh? 2.2 ounces, I think, almost 8 inches.
It's a big bait.
There's guys throwing that for river smallmouth. And I mean, I did that years ago. I've still got time in the season where if I get the conditions right, I will go sling a glide.
That's so cool.
There's only one glide, but if I've got rising water in the summer and those fish have had almost drought-like conditions,
Sure.
and they're on the feed,
Because they got to.
that food conveyor belt is opened
It's
up.
coming, sure.
I will go chuck a glide all day long. That's the only
That'll
rod
get
I'll
you
take.
that'll get you some big bites. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Bull shad's been really good to me. A 6-inch bull shad and clutch darter.
Yeah, you like the clutch.
Clutch darter is
It's a bad little bitch. You can really work that bait.
Even in current.
Yeah, you can put a
even
lot
in
of
current. I can just chop that thing right in the current.
You can chop it hard. Yep.
And
I don't know nothing about chopping.
I chopped wood last. I had to chop wood all last weekend.
Get to
I'm
the
least
chop up.
expert when it comes to any type of hard swim bait. That's for sure.
You tried. You dabbled. I laughed. We laughed so hard, Travis. We fished it on Ontario when I had my PB5 fish limit with Travis, personal best for my own 5. And we said we were going to throw the big glide. So it's the absolute worst conditions. The sun is completely overhead. There is 0 wind. And he's throwing the depths 250. And literally he'd have 3 to 4 smallmouth found, but you couldn't trigger a bite. It was just impossible. I mean, it was super clear water. No ripple, not a whisper of wind. But man, they came to look, man.
God, that reminds me, dude, that's actually something to think about here. I should probably bring that out with clients to draw the fish to see where they're at.
Agreed.
And pass their Ned rigs and stuff to them.
Sure.
The one
that would be really cool. To see if you could do a follow. Go ahead, Travis.
Sorry. The one thing that I was going to say is I think that second episode a year or so ago I touched on there are some baits that I throw just to find out what's living there. And then I go back. And I'll go back and I'll finesse the bejesus out of those fish. And they'll show themselves on a big glide if I've got that rising water and that clarity is, cut in half. I mean, I've taken 16-inch fish on an 8-inch glide.
So crazy, isn't it? What they'll eat.
It's such a niche thing for where I fish, but when it's right, it's on.
That's cool.
It's so much more rewarding catch them finesse because that's what they're eating,
Yeah.
that's what they're doing, that's what they live, that's the fun. That's just my theory, Eric. I know.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
That's the same with me.
I love it all. I love the finesse part with you. I love the power game with Scooter. I love throwing crazy stuff that I've made downstairs in the Bass Lab, testing new baits, throwing the beetle spin, hammering them on a spinner bait, burning a crankbait. There's no way I don't love catching them.
I know. Listen, you showed me.
I wish we could fit
up there.
I appreciate that, man.
But you knew the most effective bait. You decided not to throw it much of the day.
What was that? What day was that?
Any of them?
What? When we just fished together?
Remember when you pulled out that big bright yellow hair thing with the and you
the chartreuse with the Nico Leech? I threw it. Travis Myers. I took my old Shimano Speedmaster.
Oh, with the Cardinal?
With the Cardinal 4, and I said, and it was in a dirty, shallower bay.
I saw that,
dude, and I caught my largemouth. I was so happy with that one fish, man.
Yeah.
And then we tried to go back with the beetle spins the next day, and the wind was chunking.
Oh yeah, we were all excited.
Man.
So I use the Z-Man. They make a. I call it Mr. Twister. I grew up Mr. Twister with the same deal. Okay.
Yeah.
You grew up beetle spin. So I did the Mr. Twister deal. You did the beetle spin, and
I caught him on the day before and didn't.
We could not get him to bite.
But here's the interesting part. I see. You know what? I need to be slow rolling a chartreuse and white spinnerbait double gold blade 3/4 ounce.
That's
6-pounder. Had him next to the boat, and then he comes unbuttoned, and I'm like, what? And Travis, it was one of my practice spinnerbaits that I caught a ton of fish and cast some checks on this spring. He broke it in half. I ended up with just the blades, but it was like second cast. That's what they wanted. I could have torn them up in that bay on that thing, man. Oh, yeah, buddy. Oh, yeah, they will eat a big spinnerbait for sure.
Okay.
For sure. Heck yeah. You saw it last year. You know it. Heck
I mean,
yeah.
I've got the niche stuff, you know, where conditions have got to be right for it, and then I've got stuff that it never stays home.
Sure.
You know,
makes sense.
I just the one thing that I can say is over the years, the willingness to think outside the box. You know, it's been an obsession. I mean, I very well could have 10 years ago. I could have got about 6 combos, put different kinds of neds on them, and caught all the fish I wanted to the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it's just that fine tuning, drop rate, time of year, profile, you know, all that stuff. And I just, you know, I'm addicted to it. I always will be.
Me too. I'm a believer.
Simple and effective here.
I fully suspect that at some point in my life, I will be changing my style of fishing, so to speak, where I fish. I don't know if I've got, you know, another 20 years of doing what I do on small water. I start feeling this stuff, you know.
I can't even imagine.
I do, you know, 6-7 mile wades.
That's crazy. I used to do that trout fishing. I couldn't do it today at 61. No way.
Yeah.
I need a new knee right now. But
well, I'll tell you what,
that's amazing.
Travis, if you want to come up Wednesday, I had a client cancel on me, so I do have Wednesday open.
How about that?
Come up smallmouth fishing.
Holy crap, it would be worth it, people.
We only got,
that's all I got to say.
I got 4 more days left of fishing before the government tells me I can't catch a smallmouth anymore.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Well, hopefully that'll change next year.
I don't know.
I hope so for you, man.
I'm just letting them go.
Awesome.
Let me enjoy it. Let me go fishing.
I agree. No argument for me, man. This has been an awesome show, man. Travis Myers, thanks for coming back on. This was again eye-opening, refreshing. I love it. I love how dialed in you get, how you think about the different applications, fall, rate of speed. I mean, it's very cool, man. You were very generous with your knowledge tonight. Thank you.
I'd be welcome to answer anything anybody's got there. I mean, I'm just getting warmed up, guys.
Right in the comments here.
I only mentioned 3 baits.
Oh my gosh. We'd have to do a Travis Myers Dirty Dozen. Oh, for sure. A Dirty Dozen by Travis Myers for River Smalley. You should write a book, man. Have you ever thought about it?
Yeah.
That would be very cool. And it would be read, I'm sure. Think about that. Small waters, kayaking. I mean, with the kayak scene is huge, but just the concept that you can wade and fish. You don't need a kayak. You can literally take a rod and reel in a backpack and just disappear into the wilderness. I mean, is there anything better? That was the allure of trout fishing for me.
Right.
That it was one rod, flies that I made and hand tied in my basement, and no one was around. I mean, from the Gunpowder River to the North Branch of the Potomac to the Savage River to the Castleman, all these waters, and snow coming down on the Castleman, and I'm alone and rainbows skying, and I figured it out. I mean, and presented by fly. I mean, from a 2-weight to a 6-weight, that's what I fished. Man, those were some of the best years, and I did a lot of that solo with nobody around, and did a lot with friends too, and that was really enjoyable. And coming up with different patterns and different colors, and man, nothing like it.
Yeah, sometimes some of the most beautiful things about trout are where they live.
True. Very true. It's probably some of the most picturesque stuff I've seen out in Wyoming. I mean, a bug hatch.
Fishing a dry fly hatch in December in upstate New York on the east and west branch of the Delaware.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
Number 18 and 20 dry flies, little.
I know. I used to tie those things. Oh my gosh. I used to love the
I mean,
stonefly hatch in January, man, and skitter that stonefly across the surface and watch a trout come up and just murder it. Because for me, it was January and February on my streams, you know, in Maryland.
Right. Yep.
You know, it just, they were fools for it, man. Fools for it. You could have a day.
Yeah,
I love it.
Travis, do you still keep up on, like, do you watch for new baits, new things that are coming out, and experiment still as well?
That's what got me on the max scent deal. I mean,
Yeah.
I was willing to go out on a limb, and I fished this side by side with a lot of stuff. I mean, I really did.
I'm curious, have you used and experimented with some of the Z-Man, the micro?
Guys, I'll be right back.
It was like they have the ticklers and they have the small net and stuff like that. Have you thrown that on your waters?
No,
I
haven't. I know in the winter it would do very well.
Sure.
I like sub, I would say 45-degree water temp when they set up for winter in those deep holes.
Sure.
Yeah, I could do some damage on that stuff.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I've been getting into that a little bit more this year. And then I also been, I think High Tech came out with some of those smaller grubs, the spider grub deal with the kind of a good kicker. I've been messing around with that. I haven't had as much success on that. I guess I haven't thrown as much, but I threw it enough and I just didn't get the bites. But I think there's potential. I still do like to look and try new things as well. Obviously, I feel like I have things dialed in, but when there's new stuff that's out there, I do like to give it a try, and if it convinces me one way or the other, I gravitate towards that. Because again, I'm all about setting the hook. That's my main goal. So whatever can help me do that. I mean, I bought a variety of different crankbaits that I probably should have used more, but I haven't. Some grubs. I've been experimenting with different grubs this year. I just haven't had the bites. I see in the comments guys are talking about grubs, but I don't get as much bites as I do with some of the stuff I'm using now. And you think you would, and maybe it is all about confidence, but that's been the challenge for me this year because I had a bunch of new baits. Even the Z-Man makes like a new goby style bait. I mean, I just haven't. It haven't impressed me, some of the stuff,
Yeah, I'm with you. Everything I mentioned tonight has impressed me way beyond my years. I mean, it really has. I mean, it just has. I fish with my wife a lot, and my wife's no slouch when it comes to finesse fishing.
Sure.
And I can tell you right now, it didn't take me very long to know something's going on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'll agree with that.
Stuff's a real deal. I mean, it just is. I love it. I mean, if I'm not getting a hit on a cast, I mean, something's wrong.
Sure.
Honestly, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Somebody asked whether or not I was still using the Procure. I absolutely am. I put my order in just today with their office.
Sure.
I still do the Procure deal. The water soluble.
Still doing that.
The water soluble with that max scent.
Yeah. Yep. It's
soaks it up like a sponge.
It's work though, man. It's a lot of work. Don't you think?
No.
I don't know. I've been using that when I fished. So I fished the Great Lakes Juvie Craw today, really for the first time. I mean, I think I caught a handful of fish on it, but I injected the Procure gel in that tube, just squirted it in there, big time. And I don't know if that helps. I think they hold on. I think there's something to be said about scent. I know for the most part, smallmouth are visual feeders, and they'll come up and crack it. One thing that's fascinating. I'm really fascinated with this stuff. Is I do a lot of like release shots, underwater camera release shots.
Right.
And when I watch the release shots in the videos, there's, especially with the wave action, there is so much shadows that are casted on the bottom that it intrigues me what these fish, how that bait looks under those conditions. Like we see the top surface, right? We see the trees in the water, and we can, and the land, and you can kind of see what's down below, but it's nothing like when you put a camera down and actually see what the heck that bottom looks like and what's going on. And that's just kind of my biggest takeaway recently, was just the shadows that are casted with the wave action and the sun on the actual bottom of the lake. It's pretty crazy. That, yeah. It's got to be something to that. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Yesterday was a tough. We caught them eventually, but we caught a heck of a bag eventually, but we had overcast and rain, and I was in Gino's boat, right? So the electronics are a little different than what I'm used to. So I didn't really want to go deep, and staying shallow was a challenge. It was a challenge to see boulders, find boulders. It was a challenge to find the right transitions and things like that. And it was difficult yesterday. And I think that has to do a lot with, I didn't take any release shots underwater, but I'm just curious what it looks like in cloudy, rainy conditions down there versus today. I mean, the Juvie Crawl video I was editing, I did some release shots, and that's when I noticed the shadows from just that little ripple and what was going on down there. Like the bottom was dancing with that.
Yep.
It's very interesting. But who knows where I'm going with that? Eric, where am I going with that?
I think what you're trying to say is how does that affect presentation? How could that affect why would you want a little bit of a ripple to break up the silhouette of a glide bait or a spinner bait or a moving bait?
Sure.
And how could that affect how they would find your bait on the bottom? Is that why black is so effective? Because that's the strongest contrasting color, right? I mean,
but you ask 10 different people what their favorite color is, and you get 10 different answers,
Well, universally, green pumpkin probably be number one on everybody's list. Why? What we've learned is bass can see two colors, red and green.
I don't know.
And black and white, they're trained for it. Well, I mean, they study eyes. There's a whole doctor out west. He studied salmon eyes, and he looked at the color receptors.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's, believe it or not, you don't have to accept it. But if they say they can see green and red best, medium green in particular, doesn't green pumpkin match the description of a medium green? It's certainly not a really super bright green.
Anything, and I get bites.
But their eyes are trained for contrast. Black is one of the most strongest contrasting colors. It is your number one color. Black is the most dominant of all contrasting colors.
In anything, clear water or dirty water.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They say bass can also see UV.
You know what I'm doing tomorrow? You know what my deal, because I'm fortunate enough this time of year where I can kind of fish sometimes too, because there's just so many and they're all over the place. So
yeah.
I'm gonna make a cast. I'm gonna pull out the old wacky rig Cinco tomorrow. Go to town, setting the hook on a little.
No, you will.
Whoa,
pink. That's cool.
Now I was gonna use black, but whatever.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, we'll see. We're gonna catch the heck out of them tomorrow, man. It's great conditions. It's gonna be tomorrow's gonna be an epic day on the water. Can't wait to spend it. Yeah,
That's awesome.
we'll see. We still got Wednesday open. Come on,
I
guys.
did not have a if I did not have a work appointment,
World
I
class
would be
fishing.
right.
If you don't own a boat and you don't live anywhere near here, get your butt up here Wednesday. Get a hold of me.
For sure. You will not be sorry. Best money you'll ever spend.
That's right.
Facts. If you've been thinking about it, now's the time.
You know that place we fished, Eric? On
Which one?
That afternoon, the late evening trip.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I go there, bro, it's 25 pounds and 5 casts.
It's so crazy.
Every day.
That's crazy.
Like I went there yesterday. That's where we caught them finally. I went there today to film the video. Went there with you. We caught them the other day. Like, how? Why?
I don't know. We caught a bunch over 6.
I know.
That was crazy. Never seen anything like it.
It's magic.
Who knows?
I wanted so hard today to find. There's got to be another dozen places like that somewhere.
You got to figure. I mean, you would figure by now they were all spread out. But I know there's a spot on the spot. But we caught them everywhere, like in that 150, 200 yard area. But what's amazing to me is they don't just eat everything in the area and leave. Like at some point, they're going to eat themselves.
And it's got to
death.
be new fish, right? Because they don't want to keep biting the same shit, do they? I don't know.
I don't know. Smallmouth seem to be a breed that really bite the hell out of stuff. Like when they're there, they're ready to feed. I know there's tough days.
I knew if it was some of the same fish we've been catching.
I don't know. There must be. There could be 500 fish.
There isn't. Because I can go through there within 2 hours. The bite dwindles.
It peters out, right?
Yeah.
Travis,
I don't know, man.
Have you seen a drop off in the consistency on the drop shot rig up there in the last year, 2 years, 3 years?
Yes, I have.
I've seen it drop off of his drop shot rig fishing.
But my theory is, okay, there's been some boats out there. There's been some boats out there this year. Okay. I'm still not calling it pressure. Okay.
Well, some of us don't call an area, pressured unless we've fished it.
Right. That's true.
The only pressure is you.
Listen, I know exactly what you mean because
You're going back to the trough.
You know what I'm saying?
I've seen the way guys fish with me in the boat, and I try to teach. Listen, I'm all about education, but
right.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to go behind anyone.
Man, I love it. I welcome that, man. Even on the upper bay where there's 20 boats to your one.
Sure.
And I get off on catching fish behind a boat.
But I don't understand it's not the forward facing sonar. It's because
I don't think I saw one fish with you, Travis.
Sonar,
I didn't see one fish. I didn't see one fish that I caught with you. Not one, except for the visual ones.
No, but the
rest were just but I know, but I don't. You're not telling me where to cast. I'm just rando casting, or I see a boulder, or I see an area that I think is good. I mean, some of those casts I made with you on that flat, dude, I was bombing. I think that was some of the longest hookups.
Oh yeah, I remember
that I've ever had. I mean, Travis Myers, I sent this thing, man, because we had the wind at our back, and I'm like, it's some of the longest casts. I mean, it was like a stiff. How hard was that wind blowing that day, Travis? It's like 15, 25. So imagine if you put a bait up in the air on that wind, it sails. I mean, you're throwing it. How far do you think we were casting some of those casts?
You made the longest cast I've ever seen in my life and hooked up with a fit.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Because we'd spot a boulder. It's like Travis goes, I'm getting to that boulder a little bit later. And I'm like, no, I'm getting it now. And I mean, I'd put it on the edge because we were doing a little deal, right? You get the right, I get the left. And remember you were struggling in the morning. That was pretty funny. Oh my gosh. It's hilarious.
Dude, I haven't caught fish out of that spot since.
Well, that's wild. So they left.
Yeah.
There was a
Well,
lot of fish there.
I wasn't making casts, we'll put it that way.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you think
But
if we went back through together.
And it wasn't the perfect conditions either.
Fair.
You know, remember that shipwreck we found?
Oh, dude, those two that stud that broke me off.
I stopped there every day now.
And
yeah, they're there every day.
So Travis Myers, he's like, let's explore. And I'm like, you should, man. It's just me and you, dude. Go find some new stuff. And so I'm standing on the deck, and I'm waiting to hit a boulder and go into the water because I can't tell if it's 8 feet or 18 feet. And I'm like, what is that? And it literally was a shipwreck. And it's in shallow water. What would you say it's sitting in?
8.
Yeah. So, I mean, it should be a very well-known shipwreck, right? But it's not. That just shows you how much water is out there. Yeah. Like you had to, I mean, you drove me idling how many miles? It was mile after mile after mile.
A lot of
We're
moss.
just looking.
Moss.
Yep. Moss Moon Johnson was present. And as soon as you found the thing you needed, 9 times out of 10, they'd be there. Yeah. And if you didn't, you wouldn't.
Damn.
Amazing.
I was asking that, Travis, because you of all people would know that how popular that drop shot has been, and I was curious whether or not you've seen a fall off on that, or is it just lack of angler skill with who's doing it? Do you think they're getting conditioned to it?
I don't think so. I really honestly believe the fish I'm catching don't see baits.
Yeah.
Most of the time. For real, dude.
Yeah.
Wow. And but you still got to work the bait right. Go ahead. What'd you say, Travis?
And they're replenishing so much as well. I would think probably they're new fish a lot.
It has to be.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Eric, remember
where did the fish go that we caught, and then the fish that we were catching in that spot where I made that super long cast, where do they go? Do they go shallower to spawn, or do they just move on? Is that a staging area before the spawn when they get in the bays super shallow?
Spawn there. Okay. Spawn there. So I'll give you an example, Eric. Remember that bank we used to crush them on, and we went down it a few times?
Yep.
Well, I had an afternoon trip.
Yep.
And I told the guy, listen, there's a lot of fish on this bank. I've been through here 3 times this year already, and they haven't been here yet.
Yep.
Maybe today's the day. And they showed up.
Amazing.
And then I was throwing the football head. He was too. And he loves the drop shot. And I said, well, last year we crushed him on a drop shot through here. Why don't you pick that up? And so he was getting some fish on the drop shot still. So there's still obviously a time and a place. Okay. My drop shot baits of choice right now, Great Lakes Finesse drop worm this time of year. That's what we used again on that afternoon trip and caught them.
No max scent needed.
Green pumpkin purple. Yep.
You find a water temperature produces better with that gulp alive minnow? Like lower the better?
Good question.
So I only use that gulp the gulp alive during the summer months. So I don't know. So
that's the same minnow that I use when I'm speckled trout fishing in the Outer Banks, and that's the only one that I'll use.
And I'll tell you another thing. It's how these fish set up on certain spots is when I'll pull out that smell gulp. And that's a different approach, man. That's a extreme dead stick, wait for a small tick, deep water.
You're fishing live bait.
Yeah.
Waiting for them to find it.
Pretty much. And it's a very
Yeah.
If you don't know what you're doing, it's hard for me to guide on those spots even with that bait, because they gotta you're gonna feel what you think is a goby bite, and then you just give it to them for a little bit longer. You don't set right away, but when you decide to set and he's there, man, it's a big one, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like you touched on earlier, Travis, if you got clients that are having problem detecting a bite,
That's not the way to. I can't.
right.
Very rarely. I think Steve was in the comments, Hardy, earlier. He was the last person I took to that spot, and he did catch a few fish off of it, I believe, with that bait. But we fished. JP and I fished a tournament in this particular area on day 2, and that's how we caught him. And he'll contest. It was a different bite than he's used to. So, I mean, that's what we experience out here. Like, different zones it's just a different way of fishing for them, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it really
Makes
is.
sense.
It's crazy, but
Cool.
need about 20 more of those.
Dialing it in. Yeah, you'll find them. Keep looking.
I ask about that because that thing is a killer on rivers and right prior to ice up. That thing is like live bait. I mean, it's nasty.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only time of year I fish a drop shot is right prior to ice up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that bait is nuts. I mean, it really is.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome. I mean, it's like friggin' live bait. It's a one and done. I mean, so you want them to be a decent sized fish because it's done.
Sure.
But pretty cool.
I ordered a bunch for this season, and that's the only. I mean, that's just the color I have confidence in. The size too. I've used the 4-inch. I haven't caught as many on the 4, but it's a long lead. It's a 2-foot lead, and I just I let that bait just fall, and then I lift up without moving the weight, just slightly. Let it fall, slightly. Let it fall. And you gotta be on it. If you got big waves out there, it's a challenge, you know.
That's tricky.
Extremely.
Yeah.
Tricky.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Sean, are you asking me or the other Travis? Oh, he's probably asking about the drop worm. Drop worm for me is all about. I drop shot that quite a bit this time of year. And I probably should use that year round. I just haven't.
Make a good chatterbait trailer.
Think so?
No, so.
Yeah.
You saw what I used on the back of a Mini Max, right?
Yeah.
Zoom
And I'm
finesse
pretty
worm.
partial, like that drop minnow that obviously I helped design it, and it's a killer bait for me, and it's probably because I use it so much, and that's why I catch them. Right? It's just one of those things. It's what you like to use.
Mm-hmm.
I could imagine not using it, and then also rigging it now. Just some of the different techniques that are out there, especially with the sonar that we have today. Just shaking that in front of a fish with a jig head. Obviously, you've seen that in a lot of the tournaments and stuff like that. That's an effective technique. I did
on a beetle spin too.
Right.
I mean, that's what I threw on my beetle spin was your drop minnow.
Yeah, you did.
I did. It won the morning, bro. Proud of that. Drop minnow.
Great.
SmallmouthCrush Great Lakes Finesse times Bass Lab, bro. Got
Mr. Eric, do you have any time in on the freestyle jig head from Do It?
I don't. What's the freestyle jig head?
It's a jig head.
Okay. I don't have any time on it. No. The hybrid swim jig head I do.
It's an aspirin head.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It's an aspirin head. It doesn't have anything on the shank, and it's the balance on that thing is awesome.
Tremendous. I can see a saltwater application for that. That's cool.
It's really, really good with minnow baits.
Travis, you should look into that, bro.
Yeah.
Do you put a big eyeball on it? I know you're a guy. Are you still an eyeball believer? Because I am.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
right.
man. I remember
Right
after
there
your
with
last podcast, this was 2 years ago.
Your fingers stuck together.
Well, that too. I was taking eyeballs, putting them on all my Gaggio Spirit Chads, and
Yeah.
I still have a bunch. I'll pull them out for special occasions.
Travis Myers, I took an Arky jig head. Gamakatsu makes it. So, and they're very light Arky jig heads. You can get them, I think, in an A3/16. So I'm always attracted to finesse style things that you would normally see in big bass lures, right?
Right.
Because I'm a big believer in finesse for big largemouth too, especially in pressured waters. And so that Arky jig head, it's a matte black finish, and I was able to glue little eyes on top of it. And so I was out with a really strong river fisherman. We're in the Upper Bay, and it's cold. And when I say cold, I mean cold. And so I bought this walleye grub because I always try to look across to the saltwater. I'll look to multi-species and see how I can apply it to bass fishing. And literally, it's a shake in place to get a bite that day kind of presentation. And I absolutely torched him with those 2 eyeballs on those jig heads. I had 1 pack. All the eyes were glued on with that grub. I had 2 different color grubs I was throwing. And he was like, A, what the hell is that? B, what is that grub? C, why did you put eyes on it? And I'm like, I just believe in it.
Yeah.
You know?
I think eyes have a lot to do with it. I missed a key point when we talked about my 2 main drop shot baits. There's another one that I'll mention, and that's the what is it? Catch set the hook or whatever. It's that drifter.
Oh, that's made by American Bait Works. They bought that company
with the eyes in it.
Yeah,
if
the Gobi drifter or something.
And I'm soaking that in gulp. And if
but not too long.
No, I know that's the problem. I try to be like conservative. I only use a handful. Like this is only tournament stuff, right? If I'm on a group of fish and I know they're there and I can't get them to bite anything, so it's the drop minnow first, then it's the smelt, and then I'll rotate with the eyeball one.
Drifter for real, and one of those 3 is going to trigger the bite. How long do you have to leave it in, Travis?
The reason I say that is if you leave it in longer than overnight, it'll start leaching that salt out of there.
Oh.
And it'll basically turn those baits to mush.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like literally overnight, you're good. Get them out of there.
That's wild.
In gulp.
It sucks it in. It sucks it in, that gulp juice. So you just throw them in a gulp bag, in a bag of gulp, and you're good?
I use a liquid.
Yeah, the liquid.
Yeah, the white bottle.
No, the
gulp.
Like gulp minnow tub.
Yeah, you just throw them in a minnow tub. Your emerald shiners. Yeah, sure, your tub. Yeah. Yeah, I got that for the saltwater. I got the grubs and all those things. I
do that with all my baits for tournament day.
Okay, here's a question for you. Gulp guys, Gulp Alive guys in particular. Travis Myers, you go first. Remember when they changed it from the brownish liquid to the clear liquid?
Yeah.
At least they did it in the salt. Did you feel like there was a difference? Because the consistency of the first run in the clear liquid in the salt water, Emerald Shiner, I think that's the one, has the Japanese writing on the package. Those things were so soft, I couldn't catch a fish. Like you catch one, it was destroyed.
Yeah, the original gulp stuff that I messed with, I couldn't even keep it on a jig head.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then they tightened it up.
Yeah.
Then they tightened it up. And then they had a horrible run, and then I think they fixed it. I'm not sure because
I should say this too. I have another. This is only tournament day. My 4th backup.
Oh,
I don't know if you remember this.
Me?
So they make. No, I don't know. So there used to be a crosstail shad with eyeballs, and I still have a bunch of them.
The jackal.
The jackal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think they make those anymore.
Man, did they? I don't know. I got a couple packs. I throw that for largemouth. I've drop shot of the crosstail shad on largemouth. They eat
I'll
it.
throw those before a tournament too. I never really have to dig into that. I don't have to go that deep, but they're ready.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think Jig Squad was saying something about that freestyle jig head I brought up.
Yeah. Yeah, he texted me, but if I answer a text, I got to come out and come back in because I lose my
he was
audio.
saying how balanced that jig head is. And,
Okay.
I'll tell you right now, you put that blunt nose minnow, that max scent blunt nose minnow on there
It's ridiculous.
with a size 1, and it's nasty.
You're going to work.
That's like a mid-column deal for me in the
Oh,
rivers.
wow. Yeah.
And I mean, Secret's kind of getting out on that deal, but
Interesting.
it doesn't matter where I fish because nobody fishes there. But I mean, the fish are spooky, but I mean,
Sure.
not from pressure. A Gammy 604 #1 in that.
Nasty.
They set themselves.
That's
Travis,
so cool.
I'm telling you, that freestyle head, they ain't no joke. With a minnow bait. Especially shaking that through the column. That's an awesome jig head.
Things to explore.
You can put a big old eye on that.
I love a big eye. The biggest eye available. I'll throw it with Travis. He won't throw it, but I will.
You can get that with a screw lock.
Oh, geez. That's even better. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I'll try it with Travis this fall if he invites me up again.
That's a really good jig head for anything minnow. That's the only minnow I throw. I mean,
Travis Manson, were you talking? We lost your audio. I cannot hear you. Something happened. This happens once a show, and he thinks we're kidding.
Test,
but we
test,
cannot
test.
hear you.
Here we are.
You're good. You're back. You're back.
There we
What
go.
were you saying?
Oh, you said you're coming back in the fall. Why don't you come up in the summer?
I would love to come up there in the summer. I've never done that. I'm determined to catch a Great Lakes fish or St. Lawrence River fish, topwater fishing. Can we do it? Can it be done?
Yeah.
You can? Is it just like an early morning thing, or just like you just got to throw it and they'll eat it?
You'll catch them on it.
You could?
You could.
I didn't know. I've always wanted to try it.
All right. There's better
What
ways
should we
to
throw?
fish.
Always are, but I want to see the explosion.
All right.
I don't want to know when it's coming. I want to go over some shallow boulders and go, pow! You know what I mean? Or walk a little bait over top of them and see them just mash it.
Sure.
There's something about that, dude. I mean, a topwater smallmouth bite. Can you? Would a 6 pound smallmouth topwater bite would be crazy.
Right. We can do it.
I want to try.
You brought up summer, and I'm like dreading summer now because I'm so used to catching 33 pounds a day, and it's not.
You
like
mean because there'll be what 5 pounders and 4 pounders instead of 6 pounders?
Some good fish. It's just
different.
I'm excited in the summer too, but
well, I mean, maybe just trying a different way to catch them would make it more exciting.
Maybe, yeah.
If you figured something cool out.
Mm-hmm.
Do they feed at night up there?
I would imagine.
I don't know.
Sure.
There's so much food up there for them to eat. Anyway, we got ideas.
All right, guys.
Man.
I'm trying to picture Travis on the boat with your Cardinal 4 making that sound.
Oh.
I didn't
turn it silent because we were with George. It was kind of a guide trip thing. I was able to fish. I was doing my own thing. I could care less what he was throwing.
Yeah, it was annoying me like to no end, dude. I was like, "Oh my god!" I turned it silent, and then I went to set the hook on another one, and the freaking reel spun backwards. I'm like, so I put the clicker back on. I said, "I just need to catch one fish," and as soon as I caught that one fish, I might have taken a few other casts with it, but then I was done. That's all I wanted was one fish.
Yeah,
and it was that super hot chartreuse. I tied it on a VMC Ned. I tied. A marabou style feather on the collar. And then I had, 3 different cuts of round, which looked like rubber silicone, and then a chartreuse Nico leech. And it stood out in that stained water. And I got my largemouth bite. I was so happy. And I missed one because I went to set the hook and it went.
That's so wild. Like I never even heard of that reel. I grew up with Mitchell 300s. I know those.
Oh yeah, I threw the Mitchell 300 too, but I love the Cardinal 4. And why did I like the Cardinal 4? For me, it was because the drag dial was on the back. Instead of reaching around the front to adjust, I mean, I probably didn't know much about really setting my drag properly, but I like the look of it, and they were bulletproof, man. I mean, talk about a well-made reel. You can still sell them for good money today. The drag system was one of the finest ever made, and it's all like hardcore.
Well, there's still a Cardinal reel out there that's like updated.
Yeah, but the way this one was made is just like they don't make reels like that anymore.
This
all
thing was
brass stuff.
Yeah, this thing was bomb proof. I sold.
It was.
There's a article on the Fisherman with a picture of. I had 6 of them.
Yeah, I still have 3.
I had 6 of them on old slider rods.
Oh yeah,
and I sold them to a guy in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably could have bought another side-by-side ATV for what he paid for them.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Right. It's crazy. Yeah. You just they're hunted, man.
Had to be. I was just trying to picture Travis in the front of the boat, and you're reeling that thing, and that's like the noisiest reel in history.
Well, I don't have good hearing, so
yeah, he probably didn't even hear it.
I really didn't even notice.
George was hearing it, and so was I. And I'm like, man, I got to click this thing off. It's driving me crazy. And I was the one that had the incentive to catch a fish on it just for old time's sake. So mission accomplished, man.
One of the other things about that, Eric, is that was that reel right there was one of the very few in history that ever had 2 bail springs.
Oh wow, I didn't realize that. Bass Fishing Archives, Dr. Terry Battisti. We've been on Bass After Dark together, and I talked to him frequently. And yeah, man, I called him up about the Cardinal 4, and he had a post.
We used to cut our bails off it.
Really? Oh wow, do it like a Von Stahl.
Right.
Van Stahl.
Yeah, we used to cut the bail off.
Slip it in there. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like these Pier Rat kids down in Nags Head, because I do a lot of fishing on the Outer Banks, salt. I chase those, Spanish mackerel, bluefish, occasional cobia, and if you're really lucky, a king mackerel, which I fought a king mackerel last year. But anyway, they've got these Van Stahls, and it trips me out. Like, how does the line stay in there? It's so foreign to me. You know what I mean? They make the cast, and then they do this little move with their hand and loop it right in that bail, or right in that line roller is the proper way to say it, I guess. But it's such an odd thing. It makes no sense to me. Why does it stay in there? How does it stay in there? Why doesn't it pop out? There's nothing holding it in. There's no, it's crazy to me. That's cool that you did that. I never saw that. Slider fishing, shit, man, it still catches them today.
Absolutely.
Hell, you think about the way he was fishing slider head and Panoptics today in live scope, right?
Yep.
Pretty wild.
Yep.
Man, very interesting stuff.
All right. Well, I got to fish in a few hours.
Yeah, you do. Great show, man. Thanks again, Travis.
Yeah,
and Travis.
Thank you, Travis.
I got to run a prison.
No small task.
No, sir.
I'm just glad I'm not in it. And I have the freedom to fish.
I think I'll probably end up retiring up around where Travis is at.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. My mom's still up there. I was about 2.5 hours south of where you're at right now.
Sure.
Oh, wow. Beautiful, man.
That's
Beautiful
that's where I foresee ending up.
Heck nice. Yeah. How many more years till retirement?
As soon as I get tired of it.
I got you.
I can stop anytime I want, so I'm certainly blessed. Certainly blessed in it. Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you.
Very, very lucky in that regard.
Right on. You earned it. I'm sure you worked for it.
Yeah, they don't give stuff out in the Marine Corps very often.
No.
Well, good feedback.
Great show, man.
The chat's been good. Travis, we thank you for coming on.
It's always a pleasure, guys. Yeah. I always look forward to talking, and if you don't see me over here in a live on a Monday night or whatever, you can guarantee that Tuesday evening I'm watching a replay.
Uh-oh.
Very cool.
Every one of them I watch. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for letting me get my fish talk on. I love the details, man. I love how into it you are. It's cool to hear you two smallmouth heads go at it and talk about cool techniques and, you know, small rivers, and you've got a history in New York too, and that you're headed that way. That's very cool, man.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yep, absolutely.
I hope to get to fish with you one day. It would be fun.
Absolutely. That'd be wonderful, guys. I thank you very much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
All right. Pleasure to have you on.
All right, Travis. Thank you.
Thank you, Travis.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. You have a good night, man.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Well, there we go.
Great show, man. Great show, Travis. That's a lot of fish talk right there, man. That's my jam, dude. I love it.
I hear you.
You know it.
Whew.
Man, get some rest. I know I'm whipped too.
Right, rest for what? I gotta be up at 4. Nah.
Ain't no rest for the wicked.
I'm cool first thing in the morning. It's hard getting up, and then it's hard. I don't mind the drive. I
know you like that drive.
Up. You hear the birds chirping now this time of year.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Out. The guy down the road walks his dog in front of my. I know the whole routine.
It's cool. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
And then
Very
we head
cool,
down,
man.
Load up, meet the clients, blow their minds away.
Yeah, teach.
Give them a little warm up. I go get 25 pounds first thing. Give them a little warm up, and then we go.
Yeah. Tell them, be the bait, man. Be the bait. Tell them that story about the JJ snack crawl, or whatever that thing is.
Nah, they're not ready for it.
Yeah. All right. I think it's cool. I think it's a great way to illustrate what you got them thinking of. 2 things to remember: be the bait. Get it to the bottom.
I just tell them when to set the hog.
All right.
We good?
We good, man. Great stuff, man. Thanks for a great show.
I'll see you guys next week, Monday.
And until next time.
Oh, you want to end it just like that?
No, you do it. Oh, I thought you were ready to, bro. You got to get up in 2 hours.
All right.
So until next time.
Jeez. See you guys on the water. Or